Hello everyone. Today we will observe with you these two magnificent creatures that live in the depths of the poles, in places that even imagination can barely reach. Polar bears and penguins. Beneath the ice, in the depths of the poles where an otherworldly tranquility reigns, there is a place barely accessible to the imagination. This is the secret garden of the poles. This secret garden is a world where penguins and polar bears live together, rewriting the rules of nature. Although remote, inaccessible, and cold, life sprouts stubbornly here, each creature telling its own story. The sun rarely shines on this white blanket, but its light is enough to keep the inhabitants of this frozen paradise alive. With a tight sense of community, the penguins cluster at the edge of the glacial waters, close-knit in search of safety and warmth. Their social structure is complex and fascinating, and their interactions with each other hold the secrets of survival. Polar bears are lonely travelers in this frozen world. Their white fur blends in with the snow, making them almost invisible as they wait for their prey. Strong, independent, but also a partner in the delicate balance with the penguins, they have adapted to the challenges of surviving in the cold of the poles, each an expert in their own field. The interaction between these two species forms one of the most fascinating stories of the polar secret garden. The penguins search for warmth within the community, and the polar bears fight for survival as solitary hunters, reveal a scenario in which coexistence is possible. It is proof that even in the harshest conditions of nature, life can flourish with hope. Every day, under the saintly light of the sun, penguins go in search of food. Their hunting technique is an art perfected in the cold waters of the poles. While chasing small fish and krill, they are always on the alert because the shadows of polar bears can fall on them at any moment. It's part of the dance of survival, both predator and prey. The social life of penguins is one of the most important aspects of their coexistence. They come together to provide each other with warmth, find food, and protect their young. Their communication is full of various sounds and movements, which strengthens their bond with each other. Meanwhile, polar bears roam around the areas where penguins live, looking for prey. Their hunting strategy requires patience and strength. Walking silently on the ice, their every step is calculated, because catching a prey provides the energy needed to survive. The interaction between these two species shapes the dynamics of the Arctic's secret garden. Penguins and polar bears have learned to coexist in this frozen world, each with their own struggles for survival. Their stories show that survival, adaptation, and coexistence are possible. The secret garden of the poles may seem like a surreal world that pushes the boundaries of imagination, but the struggle for survival here is one of the most basic facts of nature. Penguins and polar bears show us how life sprouts, thrives, and endures in this harsh and unforgiving environment. This is a story of the hope, resilience, and togetherness necessary for survival. In the secret garden of the poles, each new day reminds us once again of the struggle for the survival of life. The coexistence of penguins and polar bears holds the secrets and strategies for survival in this frozen world. This chapter delves deeper into this interaction, focusing on the feeding habits of penguins, the details of their habitat, and the hunting tactics of polar bears. The way penguins hunt in the cold waters of the Arctic is part of their art of survival. They perform a graceful dance underwater, spinning and twisting rapidly, showing an extraordinary ability to catch small fish and krill. This hunting process is indicative of their coexistence as a community and their adaptation to the harsh conditions of the poles. The penguins' prey not only fulfills their nutritional needs, but also provides the energy needed to feed and protect their young. The penguins' habitat allows them to form a tight-knit community. At the edge of glacial waters, in areas covered in snow and ice, they gather together in search of warmth and safety. These are vital areas where they raise their young, interact socially, and dive into the water to hunt. Penguins protect these areas by strengthening the social bonds and sense of community essential for survival. On the other hand, polar bears' hunting techniques are a cornerstone of their survival strategy. Polar bears can remain almost motionless on the ice as they wait for their prey, patiently waiting for the perfect moment. Their strong bodies and sharp teeth allow them to effectively capture their prey. After capturing their prey, polar bears use the food to survive and conserve energy. Their hunting strategy relies on both their individual strength and their ability to adapt to the harsh conditions of the poles. This interaction between penguins and polar bears forms the complex ecosystem of the Arctic's secret garden. The communal life of penguins and the solitary existence of polar bears as hunters hold the secrets to the coexistence of these two species. This interaction is an indicator of survival, adaptation, and the continuity of the ecosystem. This story in the secret garden of the poles opens a window into the complex balance of nature. The social life of penguins and the hunting tactics of polar bears show that survival and coexistence are possible. In the cold and inaccessible world of the poles, this story tells how life adapts, evolves, and persists. At the heart of the secret garden of the Arctic, the cycle of life continues as penguins and polar bears struggle for existence. This episode reaches the climax of the battle for survival in this frozen world, delving deep into the excitement and danger of the hunting scene, the fine line on the edge of life and death. In the cold arms of the water, penguins struggle to survive while searching for food. Their hunting journey is a testament to their adaptation to the harsh conditions of the poles. Small fish and krill are the penguins' main food sources, but this hunting process is always fraught with danger. Penguins live in the shadow of large predators that are always circling around them as they catch their prey. This danger requires them to perform their every move, underwater and on the surface, in a constant state of vigilance. The polar bear, one of the main actors in this dangerous dance, stands motionless at the edge of the glacier, waiting for its prey. Its patience is a sign that it has mastered the art of hunting. Waiting close to the penguin's hunting grounds, the polar bear attacks its prey with a perfectly timed, sudden movement. This is one of the most dramatic moments in the struggle for life in the secret garden of the poles. On the one hand, a part of the food chain necessary for the survival of life. On the other hand, the cruel face of nature. This dramatic hunting scene reveals how delicate the balance in the polar ecosystem is. The existence of penguins and polar bears is vital for the sustainability of this frozen world. While penguins struggle to survive under harsh conditions in the cold waters of the Arctic, polar bears act as important predators in this ecosystem. This interaction is a reflection of the natural balance necessary for the continuity of life. This chapter reveals just one part of the struggle for survival of the creatures living in the secret garden of the poles: the hunting skills and social structures of penguins. The hunting tactics of polar bears and their struggle to live alone shape the dynamics of this ecosystem. This story tells the secrets of survival, adaptation, and coexistence, while shedding light on the complex balance of nature. Penguins now stand out not only for their feeding habits, but also for their instinct to protect their young. In this cold world, they show incredible resilience to raise their young and secure their future generations. Penguin communities form a tight-knit community to protect their young, developing impressive strategies to protect them from the cold, predators, and other dangers. Polar bears, on the other hand, are shown in this episode not only as predators, but also as animals struggling against the harsh conditions of the Arctic. Their struggle for survival is not limited to finding food. They also have to contend with the cold, melting glaciers and diminishing habitat. The polar bear's struggle for survival is a reminder of how fragile this ecosystem is. In these harsh living conditions, the interaction between penguins and polar bears becomes complex and multidimensional. While penguins continue to stay together as a group and protect each other, polar bears try to find their place in this frozen world as more than just hunters. This interaction shows that survival is possible, not just with strength or speed, but also with intelligence, strategy, and a sense of community. These events in the secret garden of the poles are part of the cycle of nature. Each living being is a hero of the struggle for survival in this cold and inaccessible place. This story tells about the fragility and beauty of life, the complex balance of nature, and the determination of life to continue through the survival stories of penguins and polar bears. Throughout this story, penguins' social structures, hunting techniques, and instincts to protect their young. Polar bears' skills as hunters, their struggles for survival, and their role in the ecosystem were examined in detail. This chapter summarizes all these observations and provides a framework for how the Arctic Secret Garden should be understood in the larger environmental and ecological context. The story of the Secret Garden of the Poles reveals, on the one hand, the cruelty of nature and the struggle for survival, and on the other hand, the beauties of survival, adaptation, and living together. This story underlines the need for sustainability of life and preservation of the complex balance of nature. The interaction between penguins and polar bears highlights that coexistence is not only possible, but vital to the health and continuity of this ecosystem. One of the most important messages to take away from this story is the effects of environmental changes and climate change on the secret garden of the poles. Issues such as the decrease in the habitat of polar bears and the change in the hunting grounds of penguins show how sensitive this ecosystem is and that it needs to be protected. This is a call to viewers to be more conscious of environmental protection and sustainability and take the necessary steps. Finally, the story of the Secret Garden of the Poles makes us understand the value of nature and life, its fragility and beauty. This story reminds viewers of the importance of living in harmony with nature, protecting it, and leaving a sustainable world for future generations. This particular story between penguins and polar bears powerfully conveys the messages of solidarity, harmony, and interdependence necessary for life to continue. This journey, which ends in the Secret Garden of the Poles, leaves a deep appreciation and understanding of the magnificence and complexity of nature and its value to be preserved. This story is an inspiration to think about nature and life, to discover their secrets, and to remember our responsibility to protect them. If these stories impressed you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Turn on notifications, like the video, and join us with your comments for much more. See you on our next adventure.